Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Aya and today I'm going to share with you two Tunisian recipes, special Eid. So the first recipe is going to be a semolina bread that we would like to start with and then just leave it aside while we prepare our food. The second one is going to be a lamb stew, and this one is usually made the day of Eid as we are going to use the fresh meat from the lamb. Let's start with the bread. In a medium bowl, mix together 300 grams of semolina and 300 grams of all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm gonna add 115 milliliter of olive oil. If you want the American measurement, please check the description box. The first thing you want to do is make sure to mix the oil with the flour and the semolina. Do not add any other ingredient at this point. You can either do this recipe by hands or with a stand mixer. Just to let you know, in case you're using your hands, use the palm of your hands and make sure that your mixture look more like sand. Okay, once it look like this, we're gonna start adding the rest of the ingredients. So here I have 1.5 tablespoon of dry yeast. I did not use the instant yeast. I will leave a link to the one I used just in case you want to check it out. And half tablespoon of sugar. And then I start adding the water gradually. So the total amount of water that I used for this recipe was 320 milliliter. Always use warm water. But I want you to know that each flour and semolina absorb the water differently. So I added 320, but probably you will use more or less, but I will show you how the dough should look like. At this point, I used almost half of the water and then I added the salt. You don't want to add the salt in the beginning. Add the salt at this point and then finish adding your water gradually and work your dough. If you're using a stand mixer, please make sure you scrub the sides of the bowl with a spatula because that will help you to get the right consistency of the dough and you don't add more water than you really need. Okay, this is how the dough should look like. Now we're gonna knead it for 5 minutes with a stand mixer or 10 minutes if you're using your hands. And then once the dough is ready, we're gonna transfer the dough to a clean bowl. Just put a little bit of oil in the bowl and around the dough, and that will help it to rise better. Cover it and let it sit for at least 1 hour or until it double size. Look at this. This is how it's supposed to be. Okay, now I'm gonna shape the bread. I had some flour and the countertop and then I cut my dough into 5 pieces. Always use the first one that you start with because the more the dough rests, the better it is to help you to work with. You can also let it rest for 5 minutes and then start shaping it. That's fine. So now I shape my dough. You really shape it the way you want. I'm just showing you how I did it. I'm gonna finish those and then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do after this. Okay, so at this point I cover it and let it rest between 20 to 30 minutes until I get this result. Now using a sharp knife, make some incision on top of the bread. You want to make sure you do this. And then what I'm doing here, I'm brushing the top and the edges of the dough with water. This is just regular water. This is gonna help it get a crunchy top. Then I add it to a preheated oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius, between 25 and 30 minutes until I get this result. Now I'm gonna set this aside, let it cool down, and start working on my braised meat. This recipe is usually made the day of Eid. That means the meat, the liver, the heart, everything we're gonna use here is super fresh. If you're not a big fan of heart or liver or kidney, really you don't have to use that. Just use the meat, okay? So for today's recipe, I'm using this piece. This is around 1 pound, a little bit less than 1 pound of center cut leg steak. This chunk is meaty cut from the lower end of the lamb leg. It's excellent for slow cooking, and the bone running through the center provides a lot of the flavor, so don't throw it away. And now I'm gonna cut it in pieces. Make sure you don't cut very small pieces because you know it's gonna shrink when it cooks. This size is fine. So this recipe is for 2 people, and here I'm using only 1 steak because I'm gonna add the heart, the liver, and the kidney. Now if you don't want to add the heart and the kidney and the liver, you can use 2 pieces of meat, okay? The one I used was 400 grams. It's around 0.8 pounds, and of course all the ingredients will be listed down below the video. Here I'm going to clean the kidney. So slice the kidney in half lengthwise straight through the white vein, and once you cut in half, you will see where the vein enters the kidney and fans out inside. So use a small sharp knife or scissors to cut away all the white vein from the interior of the kidney, and once trimmed you should be left only with dark kidney meat. Here I'm going to prepare the lamb heart. You want to make sure to trim off the layer of fat around. You have to use a very sharp knife for this one because it's a bit hard to cut. And then you want to remove any tubes and arteries, and of course cut it a little bit big because when it cooks it's going to shrink as well. Now I'm going to cut the liver. As you can see, this liver is very big, so I used half of it or even less than half. This dish cannot be precise because if you want more liver, you can add more. If you want more meat, you can add more, okay? So this is really up to you. I cut up big pieces too, and I put it aside. As you can see, I put the meat in one bowl and I put the heart and the liver in another bowl because it takes them less time to cook. So I'm going to show you when we're going to start cooking how to cook it, okay? Place a medium pot over medium heat and fill the bottom with olive oil. You want to make sure that you have enough olive oil to cover the bottom of the pot. To that I'm adding 1 onion. I chopped the onion very fine because you want it to kind of melt and make a sauce for this dish. You don't want a big chunk of onion. And then I add the meat. So the meat take longer time to cook than the rest of the ingredients. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put the meat first, make sure we cook it halfway, and then I'm gonna finish adding the heart, the liver, and the kidney. Couple minutes later, as you can see, the meat start changing color. I just check it out, make sure that it didn't stick to the bottom, and give it a good stir and kind of turn it over, make sure that it's cooked from each side. And now what I'm gonna do, cover it, and then I'm gonna let it cook probably around 25 to 30 minutes. You want to make sure that your meat is almost cooked, not half through but a little bit more, because the liver and the heart and the kidney really doesn't take that much time to cook, and you don't want to have a tough meat. You want your meat to be kind of melting when you eat it. Also, you want to check the meat. So in case it's drying out, make sure you add a little bit of water. That's what happened to me when I checked the meat. It was a kind of dry in the bottom. What I did, I add a little bit of hot water, just enough to cover the bottom. So you don't want a sauce. You're not going to have a sauce. Just enough to cover the bottom. Then cover it again and let it cook. And now I'm gonna add the kidney, the liver, and the heart to the meat that almost cooked. And give it a good whisk. Add more water. Let it cook for a couple minutes and then add salt and pepper. Usually we do not add any other seasoning because the meat is fresh. In case you're using a not really fresh meat, you can add a little bit of turmeric, but this is really optional. Cover and let it cook completely until everything is well done. And here the dish is ready. As you can see, there is not a lot of sauce and all the oil float on top of the sauce. That's when you know that the food is ready. The meat is tender, as you can see. Look at this. I just want to show you the way we serve it. What we do, we cut a little bit of parsley and a little bit of fresh onion if you like, and you just top it and enjoy with the bread that we make previously. And thank you so much for watching today's video, and please let me know in the comment if you try it and what do you think about it.